Today we're going to start out by subtracting integers using the chip model. Now when we use the chip model, we want to make sure that we remember that our yellow chips are positive and our red chips are negative. Now more than likely you're going to be doing this not using a color-coded markers or colored pencils in your notebooks, so you'll just be drawing them out. So I will write it that way. I'm going to remind you also to please write out in your notebooks everything that I write here. So this first problem, well, first of all, we're going to be doing two positive integers. So this may be obvious. Well, it will definitely be obvious for the first one. The second one, maybe not so much. So I'm going to start out. I've got 5 chips to begin with. And this here says that I need to take 2 of them away. So there's the 2 I'm taking away. This is what I'm left with. So it's positive 3 is my answer. Now, this one here starts out with 3 positive chips. That's what it says to begin with. And then it says I need to take away 4 positive chips. Well, this clearly becomes problematic because, as you already knew, there's only 3 here to begin with. So what are we going to do? In order to be able to take away another positive chip, we need to add one in there. So if I think about this, if I add a positive chip in there, that just changed my problem. I'm now starting with positive 4. And I can't start with positive 4 because it says right there that I'm starting with positive 3. So what can I add to any number and not change it? Well, you should know that you can add 0 to any number and not change it. So you should know that this is a 0 pair, because when I've got a positive and a negative together, they equal 0. So if I simply add a 0 pair on, I then can take away the 4 positives, like it says to right here, and I'm left with negative 1, or 1 negative chip, but of course the answer there would be negative 1. So this next slide has got 2 practice problems. I would suggest you stop the video here, do these problems on your own, and then restart it to see how you did. So again, stop the video. Okay, so you should be back now. This first one that we have, it says I've got 7 positive chips, so here they are. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 positive chips. This tells me to take away 4 of them. So 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm taking those away. I'm left with positive 3 as my answer. Okay, the next one. Here we are. We've got 2 positive chips that we start with. And this tells us that we have to take away 4 positive chips. We don't have 4 positive chips. We only have 2. So that means if you're going to take away 4 of them, that we need to add on 2 more. I can't just add on positive chips. I can only add on 0 pairs. So for each positive chip I added on, I'm also going to add on a negative chip. And here I am. I'm now able to take away 4 positive chips. And then here's my answer, negative 2. So moving right along, we now are going to subtract 2 negative integers. So I know I've got 3 negative chips that I'm starting with. 1, 2, 3. This tells me I need to take away 1 negative chip. So here it is. I'm taking it away. I'm left with negative 2. Next example starts with, it looks like I made a little error here. So I'm going to go ahead and fix that. And this should be whoops, I almost did it again. Sorry about that. So this should actually read -2 minus -5. I apologize for the confusion. So here we are. We've got two negative chips that we're going to start with. -2 chips. And this tells me right here that I need to take away 5 negative chips. I don't have 5 negative chips here. So these are the ones that I'm starting with. I know that I need 1, 2, 3 more negative chips to actually take away 5. Of course, I can't just put negative chips in there. The only thing I can add to a problem and not change it would be 0 pairs. So for each positive chip I put in, I'm going to put in, for each negative chip I put in, I'm going to put a positive chip in. So now I can go ahead and take away. Here's my 5 negative chips. They are gone. I am left with +3 as my answer. So moving right along here, I'm subtracting 2 negative integers, and these are your practice problems, so please stop the video and do these on your own and come back to see the answers. So hopefully you did in fact stop the video and you're ready to go here. So this says -6 minus -4. So I'm going to start with 6 negative chips. This tells me to take away 4 negative chips. So here's the 4 I'm going to take away. And there's my answer, -2. Okay, let's take a look at this next one. This says I've got -1, take away -3. So there's my -1, my 1 negative chip. I need to take away 3 negative chips. I've only got 1. That means I need 2 more. For each one I added on, I need to make it a 0 pair. So I'm going to get those positive chips in there. And I can now take away 3 negative chips. And my answer is here, +2. Okay. And the next thing we're going to look at is subtracting 2 integers with different signs. I've got 4 different examples here because there's 4 different things that can happen. So, again, I made an error here. I forgot this little positive here. This should be +3. So +3 minus -1. So I start out with 3 positive chips. 1, 2, 3. I need to take away a negative chip. So this is just like the previous ones where I have to take away something that doesn't even exist. So if I put a negative chip in here, I also need to put a positive chip in because that's my 0 pair. I can now take away my negative chip, and here's my answer of +4 because that's what's now left once I took away the negative chip. The next problem that we have, we'll go down here to this -3, take away +1. So we start out with 3 negatives, 1, 2, 3 negative chips. This says that we need to take away a positive chip. Clearly we don't have a positive chip. We're going to put that in here. But for everything that I add in, I technically need to put in a 0 pair. So for that 1 positive chip that I put in, I'm going to put a negative chip. I can now take away that +1, so that is gone, and I'm left with these, which is -4 as my answer. The next problem I'm going to look at is +2, take away -5. So I'm going to start out with these positive 2 positive chips. This here says that I need to take away -5. I don't have 5 negatives to take away, so I'm going to give myself 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I know that I technically can't do that. I need to only add 0 so I don't change my original integer. So in order to make those zeros, I need to put a positive chip in for every negative chip that I've put in. So that means 5 positive chips. And now I can take away, just like it says to, I'm going to take away the 5 negative chips. That's 3 of them. That's 2 more of them. What am I left with? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 positive chips. So the answer is positive 7. And the last problem that I have is a -1 minus positive 4. So there's my 1 negative chip. I need to take away 4 positive chips. I don't have them. I need to add in 0 pairs. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4. They're not 0 pairs until I put in the matching negative chips. I can now go ahead and take away my 4 negative chips like it says to. So these are gone. And I'm left with -5 as my answer. So here we are, practice problems to go along with those. There are 4 of them. Please stop the video now and turn it back on once you've done these. So hopefully you've gone ahead and done those. Here we are, we've got -6, take away +2. So there's my -6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I know I need to take away 2 positive chips, but I need to make those as 0 pairs. So here's the matching chips to go with the positive ones. I'm going to take away my 2 positive chips, count up what I'm left with, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 negatives. So that's -8 as my answer. The next one we're going to look at is -3 minus +1. So that's 1, 2, 3 negative chips. I want to take away a +1. So I need to put a positive chip in here. It's truly a negative, or excuse me, a 0 pair that I need to put in there so that I don't change that -3. I can now take away that +1. And I'm left with 1, 2, 3, 4 negative chips. So the answer is -4. Our next problem over here, we've got -3, take away +4. So I've got 1, 2, 3 negative chips. I want to take away 4 positives, so here's them, 1, 2, 3, 4, but don't forget I can only add in zeros, so I need to put a negative chip for every positive one I put in. I can now go ahead and take away these 4, and I'm left with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 negative chips. My answer is -7. My next problem, I've got -2 minus +5, so there's my -2 that I'm starting out with. I have to be able to take away 5 positives, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I can only add in 0 pairs, so a negative chip for every positive one that I put in. I can now take away the 5 positive chips, and I'm left with -7 as my final answer. Okay, and that's how you subtract integers using chips.